Live from iRacing's virtual Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum circuit, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the inaugural eNASCAR International iRacing Invite. Well, we welcome you into the iRacing eNASCAR broadcast booth. We're alongside Tim Terry. My name is Evan Pasoko. And Tim, we've seen a lot of the names that we'll be talking about on track here tonight in the likes of the eNASCAR International iRacing Series and through the Pro Invitational iRacing Series. But tonight we get the best of both worlds and combine the two of them for one big night of racing.
Absolutely. We've got two different courses we're going to run here tonight, Evan. Obviously, the LA Coliseum, where we're going to start out our adventure this evening. Short oval, some heat races coming up. They're qualifying now. We'll have a 40-lap, 18-car feature. Then we'll head to Brands Hatch and do a 8-lap sprint race and a 16-lap feature. Lots of racing to accomplish here this afternoon.
Both of these races going to be run using the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars, and it mentioned NASCAR points on that format. That's important because we will tally up who scores the most points over the course of tonight's two feature races. $5,000 total in the prized pool up for grabs tonight, $2,500 of which goes to your champion, $1,500 for second, and $1,000 to third. But before we head overseas, Tim, we start in the tight confines of this LA Coliseum. We've once again traded out the football field for the asphalt. This racetrack clocking in at just a quarter mile in length.
Absolutely tight quarter mile. You may have to muscle your way around here, not only with the racetrack, but also your other competitors to get yourself towards the front of the field when we go not only heat racing, but feature racing as well. Got to get a good qualifying lap, got to get a good heat race finish in order to start up front for that feature.
2.5 degrees of banking, my big takeaway there. Some of the flat tracks on the NASCAR calendar feel that flat, but none of them are this flat. It is such a unique circuit. Of course, this racetrack made its debut back in 2022. The NASCAR Cup Series will once again return for the Clash early next year, and that time around they will be joined by their counterparts in the NASCAR Mexico Series. So that'll be a fun double-header weekend. We'll see drivers from both of those two series competing on track here this afternoon. A lot of practice as well as some of these drivers added their element, qualifying trickling down into the final moments before we will divide the field up into several heat races, up to 3 of them, which will be 12 laps in length each. We'll take the top 6 from each of those heat races to get to that 40-lap feature, Tim. So there's not even a guarantee that you're going to be fighting for points in this first race. It's going to be tricky to finish in the top half of the field in your respective heat if you want to make it to that feature.
It's simple. There's 18 that are advancing. There are 25 that have taken a time in qualifying, Evan. So we are going to have a couple of those drivers miss the field and maybe get some early laps in for Brands Hatch.
And there's a live onboard look with all of the drivers strapped in and ready to go. We'll introduce you to them all as the night carries on. But with that, qualifying has drawn to a close, and we are ready to grid up for heat race number 1 in Los Angeles. So let's head down trackside, take a look at your starting grid as we're racing on the asphalt here at the Coliseum. So overall, pole position, best qualifying time out of anybody goes to the number 3, Paul Giuffreau. That means that he will start on pole for heat race number 1, and 4th overall qualifier gets P2. That'll be the 7 of Jeff Giassi. Continuing on through the 39 of Victor Morales, going to make up the inside of row number 2. He'll be joined by the 14 of Ulysses Del So, and 14th spot back on row number 3. P5 goes to the 42 of Carson Hocevar, and then to his outside, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting from P6.
Looking through the rest of the field, you have Salvador de Alba, Regina Servant in the next row, and then completing your field, your 9th place starter, Eric Schotten in the 77.
That's a look top to bottom at your eNASCAR starting grid. It is the Euro NASCAR 2 driver, Paul Giuffreau, who was best overall in qualifying with a 14.141. He was 3rd best in the practice session, so he has got a lot of speed and has a real good opportunity to make some noise here. Again, 9 cars battling for 6 transfers, Tim. I was going to say that maybe the key is just to stay out of trouble. I think that's true as well, but man, 12 laps is going to go by so quick here that if you're starting below that in 7th, 8th, and 9th, you're going to have to be an aggressor, and that's going to put guys like Dale Jr., like Carson Hocevar on row 3 in an uncomfortable spot because they're going to be playing defense right out of the gate.
And no caution periods as well. So you got to keep the thing straight. You got to make sure that that thing comes home in one piece, and ultimately in a top 6 position. There's no last chance qualifier. There's no last chance showdown for this. You finish in the top 6, you advance to the feature. You finish outside of the top 6 in one of those 3 spots in this first heat. You got an early flight to Brands Hatch to get some practice in for our second round later on. But the pace car getting ready to roll and getting ready to roll with our field.
And how about the names on this front row? For Giuffreau and for Gyasi, these two competed against each other head-to-head in Season 3 of the eNASCAR International iRacing Series. Giuffreau went on to find victory lane in round number 4 of that championship at Zolder, and went on to finish 8th in the championship. Gyasi was right there alongside him, 7th in standings for the Swiss driver that represents the NASCAR Brazil Sprint race. Light's going to be out on top of the pace car this time by, and we'll get ready for our first of 3 heat races. It is going to be tight corners, short straights, and something tells me a little bit of contact. We'll see what's in store, and you bet that those drivers in heat races number 2 and 3 are watching intently. They are curious to see how this race goes and if they can learn any lessons before it's their turn to strap into their virtual rides in just a few moments. Pace car off and in, field in the hands of Paul Giuffreau. It is heat race number 1, green flag in LA.
And you take a look quickly already, Evan, we've got a battle for the transfer position, almost 3 wide. Dale Earnhardt Jr. looked at 3 wide on the outside, pulls back in even. He will have the transfer spot. He'll be on the bubble.
At it, but then to the inside goes Eric Schotten. Aggressive dive down to the inside. They fight for second as well as Victor Morales going to get up and under the 7 of Jeff Gyasi. What that's going to do is it'll allow the top 2 to get away, but there's contact behind that battle in the transfer spot. Schotten, Earnhardt got together. We saw 1 car into the wall. It's going to spin the 77 out, and that 8-car Earnhardt Jr. stays in the bubble as we watch the fight for second on back.
And it is a fight right now. It's side by side. Gyasi to the outside, Morales to the inside as they go wheel to wheel in behind the 42 of Hocevar. Had that inside line to start. He's able to take it to 4th. This is the battle to transfer.
And as that transfer battle heats up, contact in the battle for second. Gyasi going to get turned around after he made contact with Carson Hocevar. Both of those cars able to right the ship, but they're not done yet. And there's the payback. Gyasi going to give a bumper to Hocevar in 1 and 2. Moves him out of the way. Gyasi up to 4th. Earnhardt through to 5th. And now it's Hocevar on the bubble spot with 7 laps to go.
Saw Servant going around in behind, and now a little bit of pressure as Hocevar on that transfer position. D'Alba Jr. right on the back bumper as Gyasi continues to lead this train around. Earnhardt around.
More contact as all 3 of them got together, and as the 48 car got into the 77, as Schotten, it went up, spun out the 8 of Earnhardt. Now more contact off of turn number 4 as this LA Coliseum bullring is picking victims left and right. Past halfway though, and the 3 of Giuffreau continues to extend the race lead. Victor Morales is in second. He'll move Earnhardt out of the way as lapped traffic, and the 3 cars got about a half a straightaway gap on second place.
And the yellow and white 77 in behind of Schotten is your 7th place car. That's the first driver out. Top 6 currently on the lead lap as Giuffreau continues to set a blistering pace here. Almost 2 seconds the advantage on Morales on back. And it looks like Carson Hocevar's pulled it into the pits.
His night's done. He's a lap down. Earnhardt a lap down. Schotten a lap down. That puts Regina Servant into the bubble spot with only 3 laps to go as the race leader closes in on her. It doesn't matter if she gets lapped. All she needs to do is maintain where she sits right now in P6, and it's going to be good enough. Regina Servant, the driver out of Mexico City, going to be competing in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, and Tim was selected by a fan vote. She'll be racing in this race here at the Coliseum in February with the rest of the NASCAR Mexico Series drivers. She'll take the white, while Giuffreau takes the checkered, and the 3-car wins heat race number 1.
You saw in that last lap or so, there was a field of 4 of them that made a few of these drivers a little bit nervous, Evan, but it doesn't change the top 6.
Servant comes around, finishes her final lap, and your top 6 are official. Jufro, Borales, and company with Delso, Giassi, D'Alba, and Servant going to be advancing on, and we'll see them in our 40-lap feature race in just a little bit. Unfortunately, it means the night ends for Earnhardt, Schotten, and Hocevar. They are going to make that quick trip over to Brands Hatch, maybe get a little bit of extra practice in. We'll see them when we go racing for the second half of tonight's schedule. Well, let's go down now and take a look at your starting grid, this time for heat race number 2. 8 drivers lined up, and it is Giorgio Maggi as the pole position after getting second best in qualified. He'll get pole for this one, and Vitor Gens going to be alongside him in second on row number 1. Back on row number 2, representing the NASCAR Mexico Series, it's Alex D'Alba and his NASCAR Mexico Series counterpart, Ruben Garcia Jr. in the 88 car, Tim.
Row number 3 is going to see Jake Cozio from the NASCAR Mexico Series. NASCAR Brazil is represented by Arthur Gama on the outside of row number 3. And completing your field for this heat race from the NASCAR Canada Series, it's Larry Jackson to the outside from NASCAR Brazil. Julio Campos going to complete your field. And we saw a little bit of excitement early in that last one. We'll see who makes those moves here early to try to take away a transfer spot. We have 8 in the field. We're taking 6.
2 drivers in heat race number 1 who started outside of a transfer spot raced their way in. D'Alba started 7th, finished 5th. Servant finished 8th, started 8th, finished 6th, I should say. So that means that there is ample opportunity as you take a look at your Swiss driver who's on pole, representing, of course, the NASCAR Euro Whelen Series. Maggi going to be with the number 1 spot in this. I think that was important because, at least in the previous one, it allowed Paul Jufro to get away from the chaos. Tim, the aggressive contact wasn't even necessarily malicious or intentful. It was just close quarters racing, cars kind of stacking up bumper to bumper, and it was actually more so contact between the cars in the transfer spots that allowed drivers behind to kind of take advantage. We didn't really see any big swings at each other for P6. It's what happened above that opened up the door.
I think the festive sweater there is worth about a tenth or so anyway for the pole sitter. But you keep looking through this field. There's Arthur Gama on the outside trying to maintain a position in this field. That is going to be your transfer position when we do go here in just a couple of laps. But we saw those tempers. Once that first little bit of contact was made, Evan, the contact came back. The receipt came back. So we'll see if discretion's a better part of valor here with these guys that are racing in the top 6 to try to transfer in to the feature contest as they come by this time. They should get one to go.
Yeah, not a lot of places to hide here if somebody's got your number. That's another thing as well. And, of course, alongside of Maggi, Vitor Gens, an extremely talented driver representing the NASCAR Brazil sprint race part of the field, finished second in that series' championship in 2023, including 2 race wins en route. So going to be a fun battle between him and Maggi on the front row. D'Alba and Garcia got a good view as well from that second spot. Pace car going to be in this time. The 18 has to wait for the restart zone to start this race, but as they come off of 4, green flag in the air, we're underway for heat race number 2, side by side for the lead as Gens keeps it topside, challenge for the lead and contact as Maggi gets tagged by Alex D'Alba.
Maggi gets back into line in the 18, going to be position number 5, gave a little body check to the 9 of Gama on the outside to maintain position number 5, and now has to make up for lost time. There goes the 9.
Gama sideways after contact with Larry Jackson. They both lock it up, and now a big spinner. Garcia goes sliding into the outside wall in turn number 4, and a rough and tough opening 2 laps of this race sees Vitor Gens leading, and the 144 of D'Alba now solely in control of second, as a couple of big names in Maggi, and then the most recent incident there that sent Garcia into the outside wall take some of the big names out of the top 3.
These drivers are not afraid to use the chrome horn in this one as you see the battle to transfer. Garcia needs to get by Campos in the 4 to try to make it into the feature. Gama just up the road ahead of them as they battle it out, get hard on the brakes into the corner as they continue to work around here. We're getting close to halfway.
And closing in on halfway home, going to be 6 down, 6 to go the next time by the stripe. You look at the gap between Gens and D'Alba, first and second spot on track. They are pulling away from Jake Cosio in the number 3 spot. In fact, Maggi going to make a pass on Cosio for 3rd and 4th. And now the battle for the bubble as Julio Campos alongside with the 84 Larry Jackson This was a lap down car earlier, but Jackson been able to close back in. Now more contact there. Both these drivers frustrated because they've slipped below Garcia, who leapfrogs both of them and now finds the 88 car in, and the 4 and the 84 on the outside.
Yeah, the 4 might have had a little bit of contact for that bubble position to slip back into position number 7. We're going to take a brief look at it here, I do believe, to see what happened there. For that transfer position, the 4 was there, the 88 little shot, and around goes that 4 car.
That was the touch, and again, there was contact earlier that sent Ruben Garcia into the outside wall. I don't believe it was with the same car, but maybe that goes to the mindset of if I'm going to get sent, then I may have to do some of the sending as well. It was him and Cosio who had the initial contact. As the race leaders up front, only 2 laps to go. Gens was able to take advantage of the early contact for the race leader. He's looking to try to lead every single lap in this second heat coming to the white flag.
And so far, so good for Gens as they come up out of the corner, and they will come by this time and take the white flag. D'Alba right in behind Evan, but doesn't need to take that battle away. He's in the show.
In the show, do you risk it for the grid position? I don't think he's going to be close enough no matter what. And Vitor Gens, checkered flag, wins heat race number 2. A celebratory spin. D'Alba does enough to get in. And after a disastrous start for your pole sitter, Giorgio Maggi ends up in anyways. He'll finish 3rd ahead of Jake Cosio in the number 4 spot. 5th goes to Arthur Gamma, and Ruben Garcia makes the final transfer spot and is headed to the feature race. That means that Julio Campos and Larry Jackson will not qualify for the LA Coliseum feature, and we'll see them attempt to score some points later on when we head to Brands Hatch. So just like that, we know 12 of the 18 cars on the grid for our first feature of the night. Let's introduce you to the starting grid for heat race number 3. And it is to Anthony Alfredo starting from pole position. He's got the best spot in the field representing the drivers of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He'll be alongside the 24 of Raja Caruth representing the NASCAR Craftsman Trucks. Row number 2, 3rd spot tonight. It is the NASCAR Brazil Series driver Roberto Monteiro in the 12. He'll be alongside another familiar face representing the NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers, the 75 of Parker Kligerman.
Another familiar face on the inside of row number 3 from the NASCAR Xfinity Series is Ryan Vargas. To the outside, it's Gil Linster from the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series on that transfer position to start this one outside of row number 3. From the NASCAR Canada Series, Daryl Timmers to the inside in car number 98, and Joe Bortolozzi in the number 80, going to start position number 8 outside row number 4. Has the longest way to go to try to get it into the feature this evening.
Is going to be a bit of a road to hoe per se, an 8th spot with some work to do. There's a look at Raja Caruth, who's going to be alongside Anthony Alfredo. So some of the drivers from the NASCAR National Touring Series getting the top spots in this specific qualifier. They will both start in with some work to do. Parker Kligerman, of course, with a lot of connections to the NASCAR world, not only, as we mentioned, a NASCAR driver at various different levels throughout the years, but an eNASCAR team owner as well. And how about Ryan Vargas? A fun one for me, to not only representing the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, but he actually competed this year in the Whelen Euro Series as well. So Vargas has almost checked all those boxes of the different series that are in contention here tonight.
Yeah, he's got a lot of friends in this race here as well with all those series that he has competed in as the field begins to roll off. There's Anthony Alfredo going to try to get this one from the pole position in the Logitech number 5. And comfortable position, but as we saw in that last race, the pole sitter had a little bit of a misstep on the start. So I don't think any position is safe here after these first 2 heats.
Yeah, we thought so, right? That was the key for Giuffreau in the first heat, but the early contact that caused some issues there for Giorgio Maggi in the second one means that Anthony Alfredo is going to have to be wary of that car behind him. That challenge in the second heat came from the inside of row 2. In this race, that would be that red and white number 12 of Beto Monteiro behind. So we'll see if the challenge can come from the 12 or not. And what happens up front is 24 Caruth up topside is going to do his best to stay alongside Anthony Alfredo. Is he going to be able to challenge for the lead, or is his objective going to be getting in line and maintaining that number 2 spot? Pace car off and in. It's the final heat race for the LA Coliseum. Green flag in the air.
And a little bump to the pole sitter down into turn number 1. Alfredo goes up the racetrack. He will maintain the lead, but now we've got a battle side by side for second as they race for that runner-up spot. 12 looking to the inside.
And the 12 car gets the inside positioning. Nothing much that Carruth can do there as he tries to wheel that car topside off of the corners, but with the lack of banking inside, the name of the game, he crosses over and contact. Montero spun in front of the field. He'll get hit by Bortoluzzi, and it's a big mess that ends up somehow with Carruth being the big loser. He'll slide all the way down to P8.
Bortoluzzi knocked the 12 car straight. They're both currently in a transfer position if it continues the way they are, but Leinster and Carruth have a couple of laps to get back up here and make something happen. You're looking at the 12 of Monteiro. That is your final transfer. That's your bubble spot as we look back up front to Ryan Vargas, currently in position number 2.
It wasn't the greatest of starting spots for Vargas, but he just kept his nose out of trouble from the inside of row number 3. He was able to drive his way up to second. Same thing for Daryl Timmers, one of the drivers representing the NASCAR Canada Series. He's a go-karting champ as well, so well-versed in a couple of different forms of racing. That's going to be important here tonight when we take these Xfinity Series cars across the pond and onto the road course at Brands Hatch. You're on board with Parker Kligerman behind him. This battle is amongst 2 transfers. You see Parker lean in that wheel, just trying to kind of wheel this car through the corner. I think the head tilt helps just a little bit. It's the battle for third, Tim, but again, they're both in the transfer spots. How aggressive are they? Well, Timmers missed 3 a little bit, and that opens up the door.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be aggressive. Kligerman gets that spot to the inside after the 98, just barely misses his mark down into the corner. Now the 98, can he get back and try to make something happen with the 75? There goes the 12 car around out of the corner. A little bit of help maybe from Rajah Carruth. Carruth in a transfer spot.
And Montero was in a transfer spot, but it was the second time those two had gotten together, and the 11-time race winner in Formula Trucks gets spun out, and it doesn't look like Montero is going to advance to the feature as his night seemingly comes to an end. Therefore, Carruth picks up the bubble spot. He is in P6. He's good if he stays, but it looks like he wants more. Going to be 2 laps to go next time by as he closes in on the Bortoluzzi.
If he can get up here and get past that 80, that's 3 more spots on the grid that he's going to gain that he doesn't have to in the feature. He looks to the inside, a little bit of contact down to the corner.
A lot of contact again that moves the 80 car up and out of the way. The 50 of Gil Leinster watches on from 7th. Not going to be close enough as the white flag in the air for race leader Anthony Alfredo. That scare on lap 1 had a nervous, but he's able to right the ship. Hang on. He leads all 12 laps and wins the 3rd and final heat. Here's the battle for 5th to the stripe. Carruth hangs on. Bortoluzzi also will settle for P6. It's good enough, and both of those drivers are in the show. So it is a heat race win to Anthony Alfredo. Ryan Vargas is 2nd, and Parker Kligerman comes home in 3rd. Daryl Timmers in 4th, Rajah Carruth at 5th, and then it was Bortoluzzi in the end, the Pro-Am winner from this year in the Brazil Sprint Race Series, who makes the cut line in P6. That means that Gil Leinster and Berto Montero is out. So 7th and 8th are headed on home, and that means that we have set our field of 18 competitors coming up next for the 40-lap feature race. And for the first time tonight, we are paying points towards tonight's prize. Let's go down and take a look at the eNASCAR starting grid. And Paul Jouffreau will start on pole position for this one, courtesy of the race win in heat race number 1. His NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series entry going to be alongside the Brazil Sprint Race 46 of Vitor Gens. And then your heat race 3 winners, representing the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the 5 of Anthony Alfredo, alongside the NASCAR Mexico Series 39 of Victor Morales. Row number 3 will see Alex de Alba representing the NASCAR Mexico Series alongside Ryan Vargas in the Xfinity number 30.
Row number 4 is going to see Ulysse Dussault and Giorgio Maggi on the outside. That is the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, all row number 4. NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Parker Kligerman inside row number 5. Jeff Giassi on the outside from the NASCAR Brazil Series. Outside row number 5, position number 10. Jake Cozio in the 51 from the NASCAR Mexico Series, going to be on the inside of row number 6. And Daryl Timmers from the NASCAR Canada Series in the 98 to the outside.
Salvador D'Alba going to be on the inside of the next row in 13th starting spot tonight. And to the outside will be Arthur Gamma, those drivers representing the Mexico and Brazil series, respectively. Then it is the NASCAR Xfinity Series entry for Raja Caruth in the 24, alongside the NASCAR Mexico Series number 10 for Regina Servant. Ruben Garcia Jr. representing the Mexico Series going to be on the inside of row 9, alongside João Bortoluzzi. And that is your full field of 18 cars strong. And a look top to bottom at your eNASCAR starting grid for this feature. And as we roll, I'm sure he was hoping he'd be down trackside for this one. Instead, up in the booth with us is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale, I'm sorry you're not participating. I don't think it was much fault of your own. You kind of had a little bit of help there, but what's it like racing these things around here?
It's really tough. Spent a lot of time trying to get some laps and find some speed, but there's some fast guys in the field. It's pretty hard to find a little bit of extra speed around this track. There's not much there, but pretty impressive by several of these cars to be able to run as fast as they have in practice and qualifying. So be interested to see how this race goes.
Yeah, cautions were turned off in those heats. The race control has an opportunity to throw them here if they want to, but I mean the field size goes up from 8 to 18, right? So is it going to be a battle of survival from your experience, or can you try to get a little bit of separation, and can some of that single car speed be advantageous for you?
Yeah, I think you're just going to try to survive, not get turned around, wrecked, run over. It's going to be impossible to pass or drive up underneath somebody. So the only way by somebody is to go through them, and probably going to see a lot of that in this race.
Saw a couple of cars from outside of the transfer spots get in those heats. We will see how far back some cars in this one could be competitive as the lights have gone out on top of the pace car. Again, it's Jufro again, side by side on the front row, 18 cars deep, 40 laps on the deck, and a little bit of prize points up for grabs as well. If you can get good points, you're in the money at the end of the night. Green flag in the air. We're racing for the feature at the LA Coliseum, and it's a good start for the 3-car. He will clear for the lead off of 2, Tim.
Yeah, like he did in his heat, Jufro going to pick up the lead. It's going to be a battle side by side for second as Alfredo works to the inside to try to pick up position number 2. He'll do so. Everybody rolling straight through one lap.
Spin in the back of the field. The 48's around 14. Blocking the track there. Cars are trying to get going. Still more contact.
Still going. I think that was Parker up against the inside wall as well. It's a tight track, so they've really got to clear the accident scene quick when these leaders come by, or this thing isn't going to stay green. Now you see some issues there with Ruben Garcia and the 88 car slotting back, and the race leaders drive through the smoke of that incident that had just happened. But Jufro clean up front, at least for the moment, as we jump back at the battle with the 3-car and company as Jufro tries to pull away. But listen, Anthony Alfredo right there, and a spinner. Race leader goes around. Caution will fly first time tonight, and from the lead to the bumper, I think that 75 of Kligerman, guys, was trying to get out of the way, but with the tricky pit road entry here, Dale, you guys don't see in the Cup Series live pit stops. It's not really designed for that. He was trying to get out of the way, and Jufro checked up, and I think that 5 of Alfredo got into him.
Yeah, I think Parker had some damage, wheel damage, something to try to get to pit road. He was tight as he could be there on that inside line, but we see the drivers using that apron, get down on those rubber strips, trying to get the drive off the bottom of the corner, and the leaders just didn't see the 48 car slowing down for the pit entry.
Going to be a tough break there. The person who gains is the 46 of Vitor Gens, who will cycle through to the race lead. Tim, let's take a second look.
Yeah, Gens nowhere to go, and look at the 3 right there. Just gets in, and the 5 of Alfredo gives him a shot in behind, and you see that 46 just barely slip by. That's going to be the pass for the lead, and he's going to lead this field back to green when we do see the green flag.
No overdriving there from Anthony Alfredo either. He's just simply in line and running his corner, probably on the throttle already by that point, coming off. Dale, you mentioned the rumble strips that these guys are working inside of the white line. I was joking that, well, some of the tracks here on the service, feel like they're 2.5 degrees of banking. None of them are as flat as this, and it's so difficult for these drivers to be able to get through the corners as we come to the green.
Yeah, these are flat and tight corners, hard to get around. Hard to see that inside wall for the A-post on the inside as well.
A little bit of lap traffic en route of your leaders, but green flag back in the air and side by side up top as defending the lead is Gens. Alfredo second, to Alba up to third. First bit of side by side actions for fourth as looks like a good 1 and 2, but a spinner that time. What a save. That was the 24 Caruth who caught that one.
and he's going to go around. Two going to go around in front of him as Carruth goes to the outside. We are going to stay green for the time being as they get these cars righted in the right direction.
Well, he had a good save, and then it was not really possible, Dale, to save that last time. Because these corners are so shallow, can you do anything to be defensive, to try to drive in deeper to get away from somebody? Or because that corner speed's so low, these guys are getting down to the low 30-mile-an-hour range, is it just so hard to kind of get away from that stuff behind you?
It's a balance between trying to run enough brake bias to the rear to help the car turn and rotate, but not so much that you spin the car into the corner or overheat the rear tires. Once you start to get temperature in the tires, the grip goes away on either end of the car, and you have to start working that brake bias back toward the front to try to tighten the car up on the braking zone.
Anthony Alfredo continues to put pressure on for the race lead. Not there yet. Side by side back here in about 5th spot or so. Jeff Giassi just ahead of the battle between the Nina Gamma, the 48 car topside there, lap machine of Salvador de Alba, who's going to get past, doing a good job of yielding to those lead lap cars and allowing them through. Lap traffic going to be a storyline if we can get some green flag laps in of this feature. Already, though, Tim, this time by going to be 14 down of 40. So even with that longer length, it's going to go by quick.
Yeah, they are clicking them off quite quickly here, and we see some of those drivers at the back of the field starting to make their way back up towards. You're seeing Giassi try to make a move on Morales for position number 5. Alfredo in the same spot he was a couple laps ago. Evan, he is chasing the leader instead of Jufro. It's Gens out in front, but they're holding a pretty wheel right now up front.
Yeah, that 5 of Alfredo had closed in, thought he was going to be on the offensive, but the 46 again was able to open it up a little bit. So for the first time tonight, some breathing room throughout the field as that battle for about 5th or so continues on. You're watching that 7 all over the back of the 30 car, and then up the road. Here's the gap between your leaders, and now Gen's going to have to navigate traffic here. Do you just hope, Dale, that the car in front of you yields the inside to you? I mean, I haven't seen anybody successfully make it past topside, or do you just drive it into the corner and kind of encourage them with the front bumper to get out of your way if they don't do it already?
Yeah, as you close in on lap traffic, you lose a little bit of lap time. That's going to allow Anthony to close the gap. And you're trying not to slip a tire. Like I said, once the tire temp goes up, if you spin the rear tires off the corner, the car starts to get freer and freer. It's hard to really get the lap time to come back down. That's what these drivers are trying to do right now, is just keep the tires underneath them and get the long run speed here. Look, contact, spin for the lead.
Oh, the 46 goes around, the 5 gets through, and it was the lap traffic as Gens had cleared those lapped cars that allowed that 5 of Alfredo to get close, and it was the slightest of touches that sent the 46 spinning. Gens is going to be able to keep the ship going. He slides to 4th, though, and new race leader is Anthony Alfredo.
But he's still slipping on the outside. That's Vargas to the inside in the 30, trying to pick up one more spot on Gens. He hasn't been able to get to the inside line. Alfredo going to pick up the lead. Still got a couple of pieces of lap traffic up ahead, though. But for the most part, smooth sailing compared to where he was the first 17 laps or so, with this one running in second.
And D'Alba's going to go up to 2nd. Vargas completing the pass in this battle for 3rd spot, trying to get all the way clear of the 46. And a spinner behind as around goes Giassi. Several cars involved on the back straightaway, and a caution will fly. So we will bunch them up again inside of 20 laps to go. 2nd yellow on the night. And 2nd time, not speaking to the incident, but just in the battle for the race lead 2 times tonight, in which the race lead was exchanged after some contact. Can't necessarily say I'm too shocked. Dale, what do you think so far of what we've seen in 25 laps compared to what you were expecting?
It's a little cleaner than I thought. I think the drivers are trying to do the best they can to not, have a lot of carnage out there. It's inevitable because of the racetrack, but for the most part, drivers are working really hard trying not to create too much contact. These guys don't race each other that often, if ever. So you don't really know the characteristics or the temperament of a driver until you get in the race with them.
It was Giassi who went around in the most recent incident. We'll take a second look. Giassi, no stranger to the service. Of course, a pro-level driver in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, but right there had some assistance after contact with the 98 machine, Daryl Timmers. And both of those drivers around is what triggers the yellow flag in this case. And Just like that, lights already out on top of the pace car and ready for another restart. There's going to be 14 laps to go. It'll put to Alba to the outside of the front row, and keep an eye to see if Ryan Vargas, that 30 car from the inside of row 2, can take a crack at the 5 of Alfredo. He slows him down, puts the right foot down. It's a good jump for the 5 car, who leads in 1 and 2.
We come for that 32 to the inside as Vargas going to pick up position number 2. Keep your eye on Gens as well. Was in the lead early, had that slip, and now looking at position number 3 as he points that white 46 to the inside.
Vargas clear for second, battle for third as Gens really wants to get back up and into the action after he led the opening some 16 laps of this race. Has led more than anybody else, and it puts a bumper there to D'Alba. The 144 takes the shot and continues to defend from third.
And there's Vargas trying to hold on to that spot. He's got the 39 right in behind him as they continue to work around this racetrack. And now Ryan Vargas has a little bit of clean racetrack up to the leader, and he's got a couple of laps here, Evan, to make this happen.
And the gap sits at about 3 car lengths now. I think this is kind of best case scenario for Vargas, Dale, as he's got no obstruction to get to Alfredo, assuming he can stay ahead of the battle behind him.
Yeah, I think Vargas would love to see some lap traffic come into play every lap. He's losing a little bit of time to the 5 car of Anthony. Anthony's just done a great job the whole race. Was fast in practice, great qualifying effort, good race in his heat race. Running a great line here, putting together great laps, accelerating off the corner. That's where it looks like he's beating that 30 car to me.
Yeah, Alfredo last time had done a 14.510. It was a 6.41 for Vargas. This time by 5.70 for Alfredo and a 6.20 for Vargas. So Anthony, just that half of a tenth of a second better pretty consistently has allowed him to open up the gap. There's some smoke off of turn 2. Contact around the battle for 9th spot. They'll go 3 wide behind that 3 of Jouffreau and able to navigate 3 and 4 successfully as the laps wind down. Race leaders looking for 6 laps to go this time by, Tim.
Ruth picked up a couple of spots there to move himself into the top 10 in that blue and yellow Sunoco number 24. Back up front. Keep your eye on this battle for third, Evan. We saw the bumper come out on the restart from Gens to D'Alba, and I don't think it's done. Almost missed the corner there, did the 46, trying to get that final podium position away from the 144.
It's a big spot on the line. Remember, the top 3 in combined points from this feature and the feature race at Brands Hatch going to be in the money tonight. So Gens is fighting for an opportunity to walk home with a payout if he can get to the back of D'Alba. So far, unsuccessful. Caution will fly. Look out. Track is blocked in front of the leaders, and they will screech to a halt just in time. What a close call for Anthony Alfredo, and maybe the opening that Vargas needed, because we will group them back up, Dale, and it wouldn't be a clash at the Coliseum without a little bit of eNASCAR overtime.
Yeah, that was a necessary caution there with a track blocker of a wreck on the back straightaway, but it could be pretty ugly here. This is going to be a pretty interesting restart with Vargas on the outside. A lot of pressure coming from behind on Anthony Alfredo getting into turn 1.
A lot of pressure, probably not a lot of brakes either coming from behind. We'll see how it shakes out. Here's what happened. We were watching some of the other battles. There's contact up the road there. The 80 and the 88 able to shake that one off, and then it's the 18 car who eventually goes around, and they just can't get off each other. Stuck in the middle of that. That's 7 to Jeff Giassi, the 18 to Giorgio Maggi. All those cars had been pretty quick at different points over the course of tonight, Tim, and it all falls apart for them in the feature.
You also got the 10 of Regina Servant there that also got swept up in that one, but a tough break for all of them. But one more opportunity here for some of these drivers to pick up a couple of positions and get themselves a little bit further up in the running order to get those valuable points to maybe walk away with some cash later on this evening.
Bit of a discussion happening as well with the timing and scoring, because Alfredo came to a stop when the track was blocked. He was not the first person to catch up to the pace car, so I believe, just based on how that cycled through, Anthony Alfredo will be scored in third, and Vitor Gens, maybe a bit of good karma going his direction. Dale's going to end up on the pole position, although I don't know if I necessarily want to be in that spot. So they're arguing over who gets that number 1 position. We'll see how it shakes out, but I'm not sure any of them are necessarily safe.
Yeah, I think there's a couple options here for iRacing to allow the drivers to restart where they belong, or where they think they belong, where they should belong when the caution came out. and clear any black flags as a result of that when the green flag comes out. That'd probably be the best thing to do. Or else I think Anthony Alfredo is going to go bowling into turn 1 if he has to restart third.
Good news is I think the drivers have discussed amongst themselves they will line up in the order they were at the moment of yellow, and then iRacing is going to clear the black flag. So Alfredo does indeed get pole positioned in the control car spot for this restart. Vargas to the outside. It's Gens and D'Alba on row number 2. 2 laps to go in the Coliseum. It's eNASCAR overtime.
And quickly, Vargas to the inside, going to try to plug that hole, and he'll do so. They're sideways in behind with Jafro, and there goes Garcia.
Spinner off of 2, so far no yellow. Now Gens into the outside wall, hard in 3 and 4, but Alfredo sees the white flag. 1 lap to go, so Alfredo, Vargas fight it out amongst themselves. More spinners as Del So's into the outside wall in 2, but up front he can't get there in time, and Anthony Alfredo wins the feature race in LA.
You had a lot of sends at the back of that field for about 3rd, 4th, 5th on back. You see Jafro there just coming off of back straightaway wall. It was rough behind 3rd, but Anthony Alfredo did what he had to do, picks up the win.
A lot of what we expected probably, Dale, inside of the top 10, the mid-pack there, but after the late yellow seemed to mix things up. How about Alfredo and Vargas getting to duke it out between those two?
Yeah, some good racing actually in the top 3. Those guys all cut each other a break, get down into turn 1. You knew the rest of the field was going to be super aggressive and not use the brake pedal too much, but for the race up front, it was clean.
5-Car Celebrates. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and we'll take a look at the Coca-Cola move of the race and how the West was won as Anthony Alfredo gets the win. It all comes down to the final restart in which he was able to get that gap right there. And I think Tim Vargas shut the door for 2nd, gave that 5 a bit of a buffer and allowed him to control his own destiny.
Yeah, he in the 46 nearly had a little bit of contact for that runner-up position. Then in behind, they start exchanging bumpers for 3rd on back, allows Alfredo and Vargas to get a little bit of breathing room, and Alfredo hits his marks to the checker.
And no celebration. These guys are eager to get to Brands Hatch Indy, which is the next race. It's a bull ring in itself. If there's a short track road course, Brands Hatch Indy is it. It's going to be an exciting race, and I know the drivers are trying to get over there to get to practice now.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll let you get over there as well to practice, but what's the outlook taking these Xfinity Series cars on the road?
Well, I think all these other guys are going to be really fast at road course. A lot of them are very good on road courses in real life and on the simulation. So I ran some laps. It's a fun racetrack, a really, really great racetrack. Would love to see if NASCAR ever went over the pond. That would be a great place for us to go to. And this particular layout, this short course is a lot of fun.
Looking forward to that one, Dale. We'll let you get to the practice, but appreciate you jumping in and chatting with us, and good luck in race 2.
All right, we'll see y'all.
That was our unexpected 3rd member of the team, Dale Earnhardt Jr., going to be getting on track for the second half of the program at Brands Hatch. We appreciate his time, Tim. We take a look at your full race results here for the LA Coliseum. Alfredo, Vargas, and Gamma end up inside of the top 3. Alex D'Alba, Raja Caruth slumps up to P5. That's big gains for him and Gamma, both of them up more than 10 positions from their spots on the grid. They took advantage of the chaos. Jeff Giassi and Giorgio Maggi both had fast cars all night. Same with the Vitor Gens. They end up 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively. In contention still for the points championship here tonight, ahead of Jake Cosio and Ulysses Del So rounding out your top 10.
And then you look at the second page of drivers, and you got some drivers back here that had some bad luck. Ruben Garcia was, I think, around on that last green-white checker finish. Paul Jufro led some laps at early stages in this race, finishes in 12th. Bortoluzzi, Servant, Morales Jr., Timmers, D'Alba Jr., and Kligerman complete your field. Some of those drivers had a lot of bad luck in that one. They'll be looking to put that behind them as they head to Brands Hatch.
It'll be a clean slate, and it'll be a new challenge as we head to that one. But first, let's talk with your race winner here from the LA Coliseum. It's Anthony Alfredo in victory lane. Anthony, congratulations on winning this one. That race win, obviously, in heat race number 3 put you up front, and it was chaotic really everywhere, but it at least gave you a fighting chance up front. So tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, thanks for you guys putting this on. I appreciate the opportunity to come compete, the invitation, and this is a really cool event. You know, drivers from NASCAR throughout the world, global NASCAR drivers in this event. A lot of different disciplines of racing represented, and to get the win at the LA Coliseum was great. My first race in the number 5, which I'll be driving in real life this season for Our Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So I feel like that's good momentum, and had Logitech G on the car, a great partner of myself, as well as eNASCAR, and all their products definitely help give me the speed right there to win that race.
Obviously, this is just step 1 of 2 if you want to walk away as this invite champ, because we're going to take these same Xfinity Series cars and we're headed overseas to Brands Hatch to the Indy circuit. It's a short track version of a road course, as Dale was just telling us a minute ago. What's it going to take for you to get the result in that one necessary to come out on top?
Honestly, from the little bit of practice I got and the laps I've turned, it's going to be a challenge, because as short as this track is, it seems very simple, but it's actually really technical when you're trying to shave off speed in each corner. It's really easy to make mistakes, overdrive, and I think we're going to see a lot of guys going off track and making mistakes throughout the event. So it's going to be critical. It's going to be really interesting with that invert, but I think the last race was super chaotic. I mean, that was the most treacherous oval race I've been a part of. There was cars everywhere, especially some of those accidents. The track was blocked, but we had a good battle up front, and hopefully we can do the same here. This will be a little bit different turning right as well, but I'm definitely looking forward to it nonetheless.
It'll be tough to top the chaos from the first one, Anthony, but we wish you the best of luck. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So that's your race winner from the Coliseum. Tim, I'll pass things off to you. Ryan Vargas was a part of that fight as well. He comes home in second. You're with him.
Absolutely. Green-white checker finish coming to the end of that. Ryan, what did you have to do to nail down that second-place spot?
Well, the first thing I did, and you probably could see it on the broadcast, once I saw that there was a gap between the third-place car and Alfredo, I had to hunker down to the bottom. I could have been more aggressive and maybe tried laying the bumper, but it's so hard to tell how hard you're going to hit a guy, and I wasn't going to win fair and square, so there was no need for me to try and do anything crazy to try and steal it. So really good battles up front. I felt really good up front. The racing was really good. Had some phenomenal side-by-side racing. So just really good race overall in my critical path security Camaro.
So can we transfer this across the pond to Brands Hatch?
I think so. I feel really good. I just ran my first practice lap, and I think I'm sitting 4th right now, and that's, I feel more confident on this circuit versus the Clash. I was actually very surprised to leave there with as good of a finish as I did. So if I can leave here with just a couple, maybe a top 5, top 3, I'll be stoked. If I win, I'll be surprised. Paul Jouffreau is just really, really fast. He was fast in practice earlier, and so it'll be interesting, but I'm sure we can get this 3F Racing Camaro up front.
$2,500 on the line, the championship overall. What would it mean to take home this thing today?
Man, it'd be cool. I could use $2,500. That goes to rent. That goes to groceries. My roommate Roberta was making dinner right next to me, and it smells fantastic. And I'd love to be able to do the same thing. My kitchen's literally right after my left. So, I would love to be able to make some food that smells as good as that. So it'd be cool.
What's he making?
This is right.
It smells like meats. What kind of meats are you making? He's making a cheeseburger. He's making a cheeseburger. So yeah.
There you go. You might be able to get one here if you get that championship. Congratulations on the second place effort, and we will see you at Brands Hatch.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
There you go, Evan. Second place is Ryan Vargas.
And we'll continue on down the finish sheet of results. Raja Caruth comes home with a P5 and a big move up from 15th on the grid. How'd you do it?
Honestly, man, that was kind of a crapshoot. But it was hard with our Sunoco Chevy, having a not good heat race. I got a good start in it, and honestly, just was trying to pull to the bottom and overdrove the corner, and took out what's that guy's name? Beto Montero. So I apologize, Beto. In the heat race, I felt really bad about that, and then we consequently didn't have the best start in the feature, but we kept on digging and somehow finished top 5. So hopefully we can have a little bit cleaner race here at Brands Hatch, and have a good result for Sunoco and everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, aside from the more wiggle room that you guys are going to have here, the format's a bit different, right? We're going to have a sprint race, then an invert before we dish out the points in the feature. You're looking good right now, P3 in practice. So how do you approach this race just with the different structure, let alone the fact that it's a completely different discipline?
I was going to ask, do you know how the points and stuff work? Or no, like
I believe it's normal NASCAR points, so NASCAR style points for first, second, third, so on, and it's the feature races that get added up together for the money.
Okay, so essentially your best average finish in both is going to win.
Yeah, they'll combine the points, but basically if you're averaging a third or the third best average, you'll be in the cash.
Cool. Okay. Because I didn't read that part of the email. Anywho, I'm excited about a road course. You know, that's been something I've tried to work on the real life side of things for the last year or so, and feel like I've made progress in that department. So hopefully I can just put together a clean couple laps in qualifying and just have a solid 16-lap race.
We're looking forward to it. We'll let you get back out on track, but congrats on a good result and good luck here.
All right, bet. Thank you.
It's your P5 finisher from the LA Coliseum. Raja Karuth looking to keep that momentum going. He has got speed so far. When we come back, we're going to go racing for the second half of tonight's double feature as we head overseas to the Brands Hatch circuit. You're watching iRacing's coverage of the eNASCAR International iRacing Invite.
In the beginning was Daytona.
Here we go.
The birthplace of speed, the launch pad of legends, the great American race. It's always been, and will always be, the proving ground for greatness. Every driver looking to be remembered, every fan looking for something they'll never forget. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
When I hit the wall, this thing shook like crazy. I have experienced that in real life, so I can compare.
I tend to choose rally games that are really putting the actuators through their paces, and they've been holding up really well.
That's exactly how it is in real life. That's the coolest part.
The Busch Light Clash is coming back to the Coliseum. The thunder of the engines will roar to life as NASCAR kicks off its season the only way it knows how, with a bang. LA's finest and NASCAR's fastest will put on a show that will finish under the lights and live for years to come. Get your tickets now at NASCARClash.com.
Back live at iRacing's virtual Brands Hatch circuit, where coverage of tonight's races are brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. By McConey Setup Shop, the official setup shop of eNASCAR. By D-Box. Make body and racing simulator become one with D-Box motion technology. And by the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. The top drivers of the NASCAR Cup Series and New Mexico Series will race at one of America's best venues, surrounded by the best in entertainment. The Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum, February 4th. Get your tickets now at NASCARClash.com. Well, we had a clash of many proportions, Tim, in the opening half of tonight's coverage, as 3 heat races and 1 feature are down. Dale Earnhardt Jr. spinning out in the first one meant that he was our co-commentator through the feature, and chaos and contact was the name of the game.
Yeah, you look at Ruben Garcia in the 88, I think he was on the receiving end of a couple of shots, not only in the heat, but also in the feature as well. You see Parker Kligerman chasing down Daryl Timmers there. Timmers had a tough sled in the race at the LA Coliseum, and then Raja Karuth was on the move in that one.
He was able to make up some spots to get in that feature. He picked up some 10 positions. I think there were big gains as well for the likes of, I think it was Arthur Gamma, who started 14th up to 3rd. But up front, drama early as contact from the lead allowed Alfredo to get an early spot. Thought that was going to be where things ended, but the midfield just couldn't calm themselves down enough. We had this spinner off of 2 again involving the 5 and the 46 car, and this track blocker, which set us up for a bit of a late restart.
And then another one here as they continue to exchange blows throughout. And there goes Garcia once again to the inside. 18 goes around. And that's the final restart there with the 30 of Vargas slamming the door on Gens to get that second place position. It allows Anthony Alfredo to take the win.
So it is Anthony Alfredo who wins the first race. Now we turn our attention here to Brands Hatch, where the format changes up just a little bit. We are winding down a 2-lap qualifying session that will set the grid for an 8-lap sprint race that involves all cars on track at once. There will be a top 8 invert before we reline them up for the 16-lap feature. So if you win the sprint, you're going to end up in 8th position for the feature. If you're 8th in the sprint, you'll be 1st in the feature. Positions 9 on back, not affected by the invert. And again, normal NASCAR point standings will deliver points based on finishing position, and the top 3 at the end of the night with their combined results from both races going to be racing for that $5,000 total prize pool. $2,500 to the winner, $1,500 to second, and $1,000 to third. And are happy that all of you are joining us here. If you want to get the latest news from the world of eNASCAR with an exciting 2024 calendar shortly on the horizon, you can scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen now and stay in the know with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. Well, let's talk about this Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Tim, that's the key marker there. This shorter version of the racetrack clocking in at 1.2 miles in length, and it is a boring of a short track.
Yeah, when you look at it, it kind of has those similarities of an oval, long straightaway, kind of a sweeping corner into one, and a couple of back and forths, and a little shorter of a straightaway there as well. It's 5 turns, 1.19 miles in length, opened in 1950, and former host for the British Grand Prix. This racetrack, we talked about the LA Coliseum. You might have to muscle a driver out of your way, and the short tempers may flare up. You never know what's going to happen here over an 8-lap sprint and a 16-lap feature.
Yeah, this track is so much fun no matter what car you put us in. Of course, we saw this track on the International Series schedule back in 2021. Simon Pilot went on to win that race, but it'll be exciting here as well in the same NASCAR Xfinity Series car. Let's go trackside. Take a look at your iRacing starting grid for the sprint race. And from the NASCAR Mexico Series, it is Salvador de Alba Jr. who will start on pole position. And from the NASCAR Brazil sprint race, it's the 7 of Jeff Giassi. Row number 2 for the NASCAR Brazil sprint race, it is Vitor Gens. And also from the NASCAR Mexico Series, it is the 39 of Victor Morales Jr. Back on a row through another Mexico Series counterpart to Morales, it is Alex de Alba in the 144, alongside the NASCAR Craftsman Series representative of Raja Caruth in the 24.
Row number 4, you're going to find our winner from the LA Coliseum, Anthony Alfredo, with Jake Cozio from the NASCAR Mexico Series to the outside. Alfredo representing the NASCAR Xfinity Series. NASCAR Mexico's Ruben Garcia Jr. going to start the inside of row number 5. Ulis Del Sol in the number 14 for the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series outside row number 5. Ryan Vargas from the NASCAR Xfinity Series inside row number 6, with Arthur Gama from NASCAR Brazil to the outside row number 6.
Continuing on through row number 7, going to be lucky number 13 tonight for the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, number 50 of Gil Linster. Alongside him, it is Daryl Timmers from the NASCAR Canada Series. From the NASCAR Brazil Sprint Race, it is Julio Campos alongside another Euro NASCAR representative in Giorgio Maggi in the 18 car, and then Parker Kligerman from the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and Berto Montero from the NASCAR Brazil Sprint Race. They'll make up row number 9 through P18.
Row number 10, Carson Hocevar from the NASCAR Cup Series to the outside from NASCAR Brazil. It is Joe Bortoluzzi. Eric Schotten in the 77 from NASCAR Brazil to the inside. Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the outside of row number 11. He's got some work to do. Regina Servant on the inside from NASCAR Mexico. In a position number 23 to the outside. Paul Giffreau, who missed his mark in qualifying, deep in the field, and completing your field is the 84 of Larry Jackson from the NASCAR Canada Series.
Yeah, I think Giffreau may be the biggest story here, Tim. He was second best in practice, but could not get a clean lap into qualifying. He starts 24 24th based on provisional and has a long way to go. They head through the Clark curve and onto the Brabham straight. Green flag in the air in the sprint race at Brands Hatch.
And down this front straightaway, we will see who makes it down to turn number 1. First, maybe a little bit of contact up in front as they swap a little bit of bumpers for the lead.
D'Alba made contact there as it was the machine behind him who got into him, and now a spinner as Gens is off and into the sand in turn 1. So the bad luck continues for Vitor Gens. Now he's off and into the grass. More cars spin in that tricky Druids corner, but they head back downhill and now through the Cooper Straight to the second half of this tricky track.
And where did Anthony Alfredo come from? The 5 is up here well within the top 5, battling with the 39 of Morales for that position as they go downhill and look just in front of them at a few others that are battling for those positions. It gets a little intense from third on back here.
I think the elevation changes are one of those biggest characteristics of this circuit. And lap number 1 led by D'Alba from pole, but it wasn't without some fireworks. So Giassi stays in second. Morales goes up to third. Alfredo ends up 4th by the time it's said and done. You get a good look there at Alex D'Alba, who sits 5th in line. Single file for the moment. Downhill, tough left-hander for the Graham Hill bend. And then kind of this de facto backstretch before they reset and then go through the next set of corners. Left-hander for Surtees. They're going uphill now through McLaren. Right-hander through Clearways, and then it's the Clark curve, that final kink that'll spit them back out onto the Brabham straight. Even though this is a road course, we're looking at lap times in the low 50-second range, so this 8-lap sprint race going to be done in the blink of an eye.
Carruth wheeling that thing off the final corner, trying to get to the inside of the 144 of D'Alba for position number 5. Keep in mind, Evan, we're going to invert the top 8 for the final race later on this afternoon. But Alex D'Alba in the 44 had a great run at the Coliseum, finished in 4th, having a solid run here. This could be a big night.
Well, let's see what happened at the start of this race with the 46 of Vitor Gens, who started in 3rd. As takes over that spot right there, it's a touch and contact with Giassi that sends the 46 off, and then it's not done there. He tries to merge back in, but they're too wide underneath, and it forces 3 wide. He gets hit again after contact with the 12 of Beto Montero. Both of those cars into the wall, and it was a promising night for the 46 car. He had a lot of pretty impressive speed that just could not get put together and had to settle for an 8th place finish in the Coliseum, and now he's going to have a long battle ahead of him as he looks towards the feature race. You jump back to that 75 of Parker Kligerman, who currently runs in 13th on track, but trying to go up to the 14 car of Ulysses Del So in a battle for 11th, squeezed on the bottom. They're going to try to run away from the battle behind them, which is for 12th spot. That sees Carson Hocevar making the move on the inside of the 77 of Eric Schotten.
How about Jufro with that little bit of a save through the grass back onto the racetrack and didn't lose a position as Hocevar has his hands full in behind with the 77 of Schotten. Schotten now trying to play a little bit of defense. There are some drivers that are on the move in the middle of this pack as they continue to battle up the final corner here and try to make something happen here in this second half of the sprint race.
And back up to the battle for 11th. There's going to be contact behind. That 3 is Jufro aggressively on the back of Arthur Gamma for the 13th and 14th spot. Another shut there, and the 9 car going to get delivered into the sand. He comes back on track, and an aggressive move back there causes mess in the midfield. Meanwhile, up front, battle for the race lead is on as Jeff Giassi gets through Salvador D'Alba, and for the first time, coming to 3 laps to go this time by, it's a new race leader.
Morales is getting a little bit closer there, a little bit bigger in the rearview mirror as they exchange that position up in front. So I don't think Victor Morales is done yet as Giassi pulls away just a little bit there in the corner. Top 3 have a little bit of separation back to Alfredo, Carruth, and the rest of this field as they continue to race a little sideways for the 48 of D'Alba Jr. as he tries to catch Giassi for that top spot.
Oh, and a bit of a mistake there. The 48 car going to go off through the Graham Hill bend, and it is a wide open door for Victor Morales to pass on the inside, and he will jump up to second now. Laps running out to close in on the win in the sprint as Giassi has been able to pull away by a healthy margin. A little bit of lap traffic as well plays a factor as you jump back to the 24 car and company as they race off of the final turn there and onto this front straightaway as well. At 5, Machine of Alfredo trying to play defense. He's in 4th. To the inside, it goes Raja Caruth, and they'll go door-to-door for 4th as Alex D'Alba watches on.
D'Alba wants a piece of this. You should ride on board with Raja and Anthony, and they go at it with D'Alba for that position. The 144 going to try to pick up one on Alfredo. Will do so and move a little bit closer and try to see what he can do with Raja Caruth here in the final 2 laps. This one goes a little bit wide off the corner.
A little bit wide that time. That downhill area makes it so easy to overcook those cars going into the left-hander, and it's a good look at the perspective as these old drivers working, looks like triple monitor setups for both Alfredo and Caruth, but maybe different wheels compared to one another. Caruth walking the actual H-pattern shifter, it looks like. Hard to see what Alfredo's got. Some drivers will go for the sequential, some will go for the paddles, all part of the limitless customization options you have in tuning in your personal sim rig at home. And Cosio now trying to join in on this battle, but a little bit behind as he watches on from the 7th spot, and D'Alba on the bumper of Caruth on the white flag lap.
Yeah, on the final lap of this one, and Gyasi all by himself up in front. Battle for 2nd, though, Evan. Morales hasn't been able to get away from D'Alba as they work towards the checkered flag. In this one, D'Alba has a run. Can he get there before the checkered flag?
Gyasi cleared by 1.6. He'll be all on his own as he'll take the lead from 2nd spot, and it'll be Jeff Gyasi who wins the sprint race at Brands Hatch. He's pumped. The battle for 2nd behind him. Morales fast enough in the end to hang on, and that means that D'Alba settles for 3rd. More dicing at the line. Looked like that was Caruth holding off D'Alba, Alex D'Alba, I should say, for 5th. Not to be confused with Salvador D'Alba, who came home in 3rd. And there's a bit of a celebration. I know it's just a sprint, Tim, but that onboard gave you a good look at how pumped Gyasi is about being able to lock that one up.
He is amped up and ready to go. I guess the bad news, if it's anything, is with the invert, he's going to start position number 8, but we know he's got some speed, right?
We know he got the speed. Now he's got to put it into play. We take a look at your sprint race results. Gyasi's margin of victory, 1.798 seconds over Victor Morales Jr., who comes home in 2nd, and Salvador D'Alba Jr. in 3rd. Those are 2 NASCAR Mexico Series drivers, P2 and 3. Then for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, Raja Caruth finishes 4th ahead of the 3rd Mexico Series driver on your list, P5 for Alex D'Alba. Alfredo, Cosio, Vargas, Linster, and Campos, your top 10. But Vargas, P8, that means that he'll be sitting on pole, courtesy of the invert.
I think the biggest name here is Jufro as he moved from the back of the field all the way to 11. Dosol, Kligerman, Hocevar, Gamma, Maggi, Monteiro, Bortoluzzi, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Eric Schotten through 20th.
And on the final page, not the nights that the likes of Timmers, Servant, Garcia, Gens, and Jackson wanted. They finished 21st through 25th. They do get second life in the fact that that was a sprint, and now it is the points-paying feature, but they're going to have some work to do from the rear. So we recap and talk about this program. This race now moves to a 16-lap feature race in which the top 8 finishers from that sprint have been inverted. You mentioned Jufro getting up to P11, Tim, after not getting a time in qualifying. Your sprint race winner, Gyasi, is going to be in P8. There's going to be a lot of speed in the midfield that should make this feature exciting.
Absolutely, it should. You're going to have some drivers that are moving towards the front, especially in that top 8 with the invert. And Evan, how are they going to shake out?
Well, here's how the invert works. So P8 in the sprint means it's pole for Ryan Vargas from the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He'll be alongside from the NASCAR Mexico Series, the 51 of Jake Cosio. Row number 2, also from the NASCAR Xfinity Series, it's Anthony Alfredo, and also from that NASCAR Mexico Series, who's got a good, strong showing on the outside line up inside of the top 6, is Alex D'Alba. Raja Caruth from the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series going to be inside of row 3, and P6, it is Salvador D'Alba Jr.
And your top 2 from the sprint race are going to start in row number 4. Victor Morales Jr. from NASCAR Mexico on the inside of row number 4 with Jeff Gyasi on the outside from NASCAR Brazil in position number 8. Gil Linster in the 50 going to start on the inside from the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series as the field begins to roll. Julio Campos in the 4 from NASCAR Brazil going to roll off in 10. 11th, Paul Jufro. Keep your eye on the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series driver on the inside of row number 6. Joined by another driver from the Euro Series, Ulysse Dosol on the outside in the 14.
Continuing on through, back to row number 7. It'll be Parker Kligerman from the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Carson Hocevar from the NASCAR Cup Series with a little bit of work to do. From NASCAR Brazil, it's Arthur Gama. And from the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, Giorgio Maggi, they make up row number 8. Row number 9, we'll see from the NASCAR Brazil Sprint Race, it's Beto Montero. And to the outside, his counterpart in João Bortoluzzi.
And completing your field is Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the inside in car number 8. To the outside from the NASCAR Brazil Series, Eric Schotten. Daryl Timmers from the NASCAR Canada Series. From NASCAR Mexico, Regina Servant. Row number 12 sees Ruben Garcia Jr. from the NASCAR Mexico Series. From NASCAR Brazil, Vitor Gens, who had a very strong run early before finding his way off the racetrack. And completing your field from the NASCAR Canada Series, it's the 84 of Larry Jackson.
It's a look to at the bottom of your eNASCAR starting grid. Tim, I know there's only 2 of them out there, and I know that we don't drive behind the wheel, but I'd like to think we can at least do some representation for the NASCAR Canada Series in our parts as well and add to the international flavor of this event. But lights out on the pace car. You got 1 lap to think it through. Same track as before. Certainly more opportunities for that individual speed, and I would say that ability to keep calm and to make smart moves is going to be on display here compared to what we saw at the Coliseum. But that is not to say that we were incident-free. It happened up front, it happened in the middle, and it happened at the back. Curious if doubling the laps and going from 8 laps to 16 means things are any calmer, or if this is going to be just as much of a sprint race as you go on board with Regina Servant.
They had 8 laps. They're comfortable with the racetrack. They're, for the most part, comfortable with where they are running because they are running in the same essential grid order from where they finished that sprint race. We'll see if there's any paybacks to be made, if there's any bumpers to be thrown. We'll find out here as the pace car gets ready to peel off here momentarily.
Final bit of points on the line, checks to be cashed at the end of this one, and we're happy that you're spending your evening with us on the iRacing Esports Network. Field in the hands of Ryan Vargas. Let's go racing at Brands Hatch.
How about that inside line? Vargas got that jump. Alfredo got that jump. The 51 Ecosio took a little bit of time to get rolling, but everybody's rolling. One is off.
Osio with a big mistake, a bobble from second. He is out of this race in the blink of an eye. And Raja Karuth from 5th to 3rd. The Sunoco Chevy on the move.
As they all try to jockey for position, top 5 get single file. A little bit of side-by-side just around the top 10 or so as they continue to try to figure this one out. Some great racing here early.
And now some heavy hitters going to be lined up nose to tail just a little bit behind Morales as Jufro has been able to find Giassi. Those are going to be the biggest names I think you're looking for from the midfield. Those orange cars coming off of the final turn, turn 6. But they've got a long way to catch up to these race leaders who already have about a 2-second advantage over Morales in the 39 and company. As you jump up and take a look at Alex de Alba, P5, seeing if he can get up to the back bumper of Salvador de Alba. Bit of a mistake there, though, behind Giassi with a bit of a missed corner. Opens up the door for Jufro. They're side by side in the run down the hill, and they are all over each other.
And Jufro sideways goes off the racetrack, allows one to get to his inside, so he'll lose one more spot and maybe one more to come as they continue to jockey for position. But Giassi has made his way up to position number 6. The good news is got about 14 and a half laps left to get it done. Still plenty of time to make this happen.
Long way to go, but Giassi getting around and away from Jufro. Granted, there was contact involved. Could be big because, remember, Giassi won the sprint, but courtesy of the invert got sent all the way back to P8. So with some work to do to get back up and into the conversation. Meanwhile, inside of your top 5, side by side for the lead, side by side for 3rd. Alfredo tried to get under Vargas for P1. De Alba tried the same on Caruth for P3. Neither of those moves worked as the outside through Druids was enough to get a run down the hill, and they defend off and onto the second half of this racetrack. 6 turns, 1.2 miles in length. And Vargas has led the way, but he has not been able to get away. Look how tight everybody is behind your race leader.
Alfredo put a little bit of pressure on Vargas the last time by into turn number 1. It looked like the attitude of that 30 car got a little bit nervous going down right here into this corner. We'll see if Alfredo can get any more ground made up on the 30 of Ryan Vargas. Vargas looked a little bit better that time through turn number 1. Evan and leads the field off. Look at this behind. Here comes the 48 of De Alba to the outside of Caruth.
And De Alba to the outside, a big Nearly tailspin there for the 48 as D'Alba's able to save it, but can't corral the car off and into the next turn, and he's going to go off in the Graham Hill bend. It's going to allow Carruth to take the spot back. D'Alba makes a pass, and here comes Jeff Gyasi making the move. So it's a big mistake for the 48 car that's going to cost D'Alba about 3 spots in the blink of an eye. Able to get back in line, though, for the time being.
Still plenty of time to get it done as well as the leaders come up and complete one more lap here as we are on lap number 5 of this race. Vargas and Alfredo top 2, and then this mess inside the top 5, top 10 as they continue to jockey for position. D'Alba in the 144 after having a great run at the Coliseum, still within the top 5 here too.
And D'Alba trying to continue that momentum through 2017 Mexico Truck Champion, 2019 Mexico FedEx Challenge Champion. So trying to add to that resume, eNASCAR International iRacing Invite Champion. Remember, it is the combined points from both of these races that gets the job done. Meanwhile, for the lead, Alfredo going to get underneath Vargas off of turn number 6, and we're going to go side by side for the race lead as they drag down the front stretch. Nose to nose, contact off and into turn number 1. Alfredo clear on entry and through the Paddock Hill bend. New race leader, give it to the Logitech G Chevy of Anthony Alfredo. And now here comes Carruth to the inside, trying to take P2 away. He'll do that almost as well. Vargas not giving up. No, there's contact.
And they got off each other, and they are going to maintain second and third as Rajah Carruth knew it's time to go. There's no cautions in this race, Evan. You can't afford to lose any time to your drivers that are in front, and it just happens to be the leader, Anthony Alfredo, that is ahead of Rajah Carruth. So you got to go, and so does Gyasi. Gyasi knows he's got to get around Ryan Vargas if he wants a shot at winning this thing. Vargas playing a little bit of defense as they will combine to complete lap number 6. Gyasi's got to run.
Gyasi's got to run, continues the charge forward to the inside of Vargas, off and into 1. Vargas doing everything he can to be stubborn, stay up top side, but a bobble there as D'Alba joined the party. Vargas is off and into the grass, and after taking the invert and falling back to P8, Jeff Gyasi is up to 3rd and continuing to try to fight for the race lead. Spinner through turn number 2, that's the 4 of Campos.
And they'll get it back going again and continue to race on as we inch closer to the halfway point. In this one, you watch Ryan Vargas trying to hold on to a position over Morales. That is the battle for position number 7. As you ride on board with Gyasi, he's in 3rd. He's got 2 ahead of him, trying to reel them in for what would be a race win here.
And you talk about how does this pair with what Gyasi was able to do in the first race of the night? Well, he finished top 6 at the LA Coliseum, so Gyasi in striking distance of the money, but even if he can get to Alfredo entering tonight with the win, he would need the 5 to drop significantly back if he's thinking about the number 1 spot in the championship. You drop back to that next closest battle. This is all from Paul Jouffreau on back. The 3 car was really good at practice. Didn't get a time in qualifying. Went 24th to 11th in the sprint. Has then driven from 11th to 5th in this feature. There's no doubt that he has speed. I think time, though, Tim, his biggest struggle, as it'll be halfway home this time by. 8 laps down, 8 laps to go.
And how much did Jouffreau use up trying to get through some of that traffic to get up to position number 4, inching away just a little bit from D'Alba Jr., but not enough to pull away from that battle in behind him. Currently in 4th, trying to hold those guys off in behind as Gyasi catches Carruth just up the hill ahead of them. We got some great battles here within the top 10.
Yeah, this battle for 4th is just out of touch of those race leaders at about a 2.5 second difference, right? D'Alba's got a good view up the road. It's Salvador D'Alba in front of Alex here. Then it's Paul Jouffreau, and then that gap that separates them from those top 3. That next pack of 3 is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, which right now is Alfredo, Carruth, and Gyasi. Now, if Jeff Gyasi can continue to be a disruptor up there, start to challenge for 1st and 2nd, maybe that battle slows down those cars enough for anybody from this secondary group to get there, but it is a hardy 2.5 second gap that's going to be tough to overcome, and you see it up the road now. The battle for 2nd is on. Gyasi looking to the outside of Rajah Carruth in front of this battle. Carruth, though, a good defensive job to stay side by side.
Alfredo pulling away from this little contact in behind. Up the hill goes Carruth. Giassi going to try to pick up that position. He will do so. Does Rajan Caruth get back to the 7? Can't get there for the time being. New second place driver, Jeff Giassi. Now can he get up to Anthony Alfredo? Second half of this race, laps are clicking away. Alfredo has been holding a pretty wheel up in front. Does he have enough to hold off Giassi?
He's been so good. Vargas led the opening 5. Alfredo has led the 4 laps since then. But Giassi's got about a second worth of time to get to Alfredo. He'll need to work hard over the next 6 laps. We jump back to see how Dale Earnhardt Jr. is doing in this one. Started 19th and is doing kind of what he said he would, right? Is maintaining his pace, trying to stay out of the trouble. He picked up a spot to P18, and you can see as he slides around this racetrack. This track, again, I mentioned off at the top, is so fun in any car. These Xfinity Series cars are still such a challenge at any road course. And Dale's in a bit of a fight on his own because he's got Beto Montero and Julio Campos right behind him, putting on a bit of a 3-way show back here.
Yeah, they're having some fun back there for that position. There goes the 12 to the inside, trying to pick up a spot. Campos right there, too. Great wheel-to-wheel battle there as Dale lets those 2 go. And now plays chase to those 2 in front. And as the battle heats up for position number 18, there is the battle for the lead as Alfredo and Giassi go at it for that top spot.
They got some lap traffic up the road as well, which may be a factor. And just to put a button on the conversation, we were looking on board with Alfredo. We were looking on board with Caruth a bit earlier. Tim, I was talking about shifters. You saw Dale there utilizing those paddle shifters on his wheel. Just a good way to bookend that conversation about how these drivers would tailor their sim rigs at home to whatever their personal preferences are. You see a lot of those paddles on the road and formula side of things, but some drivers just prefer one feel to another. Dale going with the paddles tonight, the battle up front with the 5 car. Use it a sequential or an H pattern. But how long can Anthony Alfredo hang on to the race lead for? Because Jeff Giassi's there, and Giassi's on the inside to the Paddock Hill bend, slides up in front, clears himself, and what an aggressive move. New race leader, it's the 7 of Giassi. Alfredo not going to want to go quietly into the night, but he's going to have a tall order to latch onto the 7, who has been the best car so far all afternoon at Brands Hatch.
You see that red and black and white coming up there behind, though. We have a new 3rd place driver in Jufro. Paul Jufro able to take it away from Rajan Caruth. I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get up here and A, pass Alfredo, and B, get Giassi, but I think there's a little bit of speed left over in that 3 car as he moves to that final podium spot.
Slides into the podium spot. That could be big for Paul as well when you talk about the average finish and trying to get a good result out of this championship. Did not get the result he wanted at the Coliseum with a 12th place result, so work to do. But if you can improve that average number, and some of the drivers who had good results in LA can't put it together here in the second half of tonight's program in Kent, well, then maybe he has a fighting shot at getting into the top 3 and walking out of this Pro Invitational invite with a little bit of money in the back pocket. Alfredo's gap slipping and slipping. Now it's a half a second, I should say, 5/10 off to the race leader Giassi. Lap traffic up the road, and Jake Cosio, and for Salvador de Alba down pit road. So I think these leaders won't have to worry too much about traffic minus those 1 or 2 cars. Thankfully, they're not battling anybody. So you would like to think if you're Giassi, they'll yield to you if you catch them.
Yeah, you have to think there'd be a little bit of respect there between the 2, but so far so good. Battle for second. Here comes Jufro to the inside of the 5 of Alfredo. Dove it in deep, contact, and there goes the 3.
Big spin and a consequential one for Jufro, who drove all the way from the back through the sprint, through the feature. He got tied up there with, I believe it was Alfredo, off of the corner in the battle for second. Alfredo takes that spot away. Jufro gets back on track, but not before he slips all the way down to P11. Up front, white flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Jeff Giassi.
It all happens behind Giassi as you saw the battle for position number 4 and 5. That is Rajan Caruth in the 24. Morales in the 39, and Caruth not too far behind, or I checked that Vargas not too far behind as they battle side by side. This one's going to come down to the wire. A top 5 spot on the line could mean some money when it comes to this overall championship, Evan.
Yeah, Caruth had a good job as he finished inside of the top 5 in LA, looking to finish in the top 4 here at Brands Hatch, trying to lock down some money. final set of corners. Up front, though, how about Jeff Giassi? Wasn't intimidated by the invert, said, I'll go and win the sprint race anyways. Got booted back to P8, drove his way through the field with time to spare. Final turn, yes, right, he's number one. Jeff Giassi wins the feature at Brands Hatch.
Sweeps the event at Brands Hatch, comes from 8th, wins the feature after winning the sprint race. What a performance by driver number 7 after a decent run at the LA Coliseum, but took it to them here at Brands Hatch.
It is going to be tight with about 4 or 5 different drivers in terms of the points battle. But as the 7 car celebrates, this winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And when we talk about the Coca-Cola move of the race, I think it's a little bit all of the above, Tim, with, again, the 7 car not sandbagging in that sprint race, not wanting to play the numbers game. He had speed, he had confidence in it, went out and won it, and then he was able to drive through the field.
And he's got the wheel off. He's got to put it back on. Did he break the wheel on the burnout?
Was he pretending to stick it out the window, or was he having too much fun and ripped the wheel off? Plugged it back in. Burnout continues. Didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, good to go on that one. But Giassi, great effort there, and going to pick up. And this is the standings, I believe.
And as we lock it in, I said it would be tight. Anthony Alfredo, courtesy of a win and a P2, is going to walk away as the champ in this 2023 eNASCAR International iRacing invite. Jeff Giassi does enough after he finished in P6 at the Coliseum. He gets the win here at Brands Hatch. He'll get second spot and walk away with $1,500. And it was a 1 point per position margin, Tim, for third, fourth, and fifth. Consistent finishes for Alex D'Alba, Ryan Vargas, and Raja Karuth. But in the end, it is the 144 of Alex D'Alba with the fourth at the Coliseum and the third here at Brands Hatch to get that third payout spot. And he'll walk away with $1,000 as well. So a big congratulations to those 3 for walking away in the prize pool. And a big congrats as well to everybody else. And a thanks to all the drivers competing in this one. And we wind it back and take a look at that Coca-Cola move of the race. He was able to chase down that 5 car and was methodical with his opportunity.
Had to pick his position. Turn number 1 seemed to be the best passing point of this race, of this racetrack, and picks it up, puts it on Alfredo. Alfredo had an opportunity here, Evan, to get a little aggressive, just couldn't get back to the back bumper.
Did a good job of pulling in line, trying to reset, but the second that 7 car was clear, I don't know if there was much that Anthony Alfredo was going to be able to do, because Giassi did not put a single Goodyear Eagle wrong and was able to drive off to that final margin of victory of more than 2.2 seconds. And we're trackside with your race winner now, Jeff. Congratulations on locking up the W here. And I got to ask, the invert didn't scare you. You didn't sandbag in the sprint. You went for the win. You took the P8 on the grid and got it done anyways. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. I would like first to thank Thiago Marques for the invite and believing in all of us to be representing NASCAR Brazil here. And yeah, it was not an easy race, that's for sure. I try to be as clean as I possibly could. Sometimes when it's NASCAR, so people are gonna send it, and you need to send it back to maintain track position. So we had absolutely everything in this race, try to make moves, trying to be clean, and it was a really amazing event. I really loved it.
You've got a lot of time here on the sim at some of the top levels, but how difficult was it or easy was it for you to adjust to using these NASCAR Xfinity Series cars and driving on a really tight oval in the Coliseum and then bringing them out here to Brands Hatch?
Oh, I'm not really used to racing NASCAR in iRacing. I just got the opportunity to be in the real life series in NASCAR Brazil, and that's started like 2 to 3 months ago. So that's when I actually started to try to adapt to these cars, and it's completely different from anything I've driven before. It has so much power, and it's also a heavy car, so it's really difficult for you to keep it on the track. So it was not an easy job. It was really about learning the car, really about having the whole NASCAR Brazil drivers working together to try to put this put this pace. And man, I have to say, I've always been a big fan of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and having the chance to race with him, even in the simulator. I don't care, it was a race. So having the chance to see him on the track was really nice because I'm such a big fan, and to be around all those guys, it's a really, really nice experience. And I'm also here because I started my career here in iRacing. And that gave me a chance to start racing in real life. So yeah, I'm just thankful and really happy to be here.
Well, the good news continues for you because with the P6 at the Coliseum and the win here, you finish inside of the top 3, second in points. So you're walking away with a bit of money as well as a prize. So we appreciate you sticking around and participating, Jeff. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. That's a really good thing. Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's your race winner here at Brands Hatch, and he is second in the standings for this eNASCAR International iRacing invite. And Tim, that means that Anthony Alfredo did enough. The win earlier tonight, the runner-up, means that he is your invite champ. You're with him.
Absolutely, Anthony. Big performance tonight. First, let's talk about Brands Hatch. Led a bunch of laps, and then that big 7 car came in behind you. What was the thought when you saw Giassi come at you?
Oh, yeah, he was flying. I mean, shout out to Jeff. He had tremendous pace, hard to hold him off. Obviously, I was pretty thrilled with my performance. I honestly didn't think I would finish that well. I thought it may be a 5th-place car. I didn't know if I'd be top 3, especially after that sprint. I was consistent and had good pace, but not great pace, and I found a little bit extra speed for the feature. So after the invert, I was able to maintain that track position, but Jeff was just the one guy I couldn't hold off. You know, obviously I got around Ryan, got the lead, and kind of set sail. And once I saw he got clear for second, I knew it was a matter of time before he got to me. So just had to keep it clean and focus on the big picture, obviously. Winning that first race and finishing second here, got the highest average finish and win the prize. So I'm super stoked about that. It's really cool. Definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here and had a lot of fun tonight.
Drivers from across the NASCAR community, the NASCAR National 3 Series and the Touring Series from around the world, what does it mean to be able to come here and compete with these drivers you might not compete with on a regular basis, but also take home the checkered flag and win this thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys I'd never raced with before yet, so I enjoyed that experience. They all had a pretty good respect up front, and I tried to return the favor. So once again, thanks everyone. Got some good juju going into 2024 with this number 5 Logitech G. Seems to be fast, so try to transition it to the real world for sure.
Finishing 23 on a high note, that's Anthony Alfredo, our champion here this evening. Evan, a great performance by the 5.
A great performance for him as well, and we'll continue talking about drivers as we've got dialed in the driver of the 18 machine. Giorgio, congrats on a good participation and being with us. We appreciate you guys all committing to this event and putting on a show for us. What'd you think about running these Xfinity cars both on that tight oval in LA where you got a top 10 finish and then bringing them over here to Brands Hatch where you come home 12th?
Yeah, not gonna lie, I practice a lot. No, it was not easy. It's also maintaining focus at that point was quite a bit of a challenge since it's 1 a.m. over here. And yeah, but it was a lot of fun and always happy to be part of it.
The fact that we use the same car for both of these races, but at 2 so very different tracks, did that make it any easier when you were practicing, or was it just that much more challenging? Because these cars are kind of built for what we had in LA, but not necessarily for Brands Hatch.
Yeah, indeed, it was a bit... It's quite different to the cars we usually run in the Euro NASCAR. So it was some adjustment, especially in the driving style. But yeah, it helped that both races were the same car, since yeah, I could learn a little bit with the brakes. I think that was the biggest, yeah, pretty much the hardest part of the car, learning to modulate the brakes and entering to the corner, how much speed you can get. It was not easy.
Obviously, you had a lot of fellow competitors in this race from the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, but what was it like racing with some different faces that you aren't normally on track with? Dale Earnhardt Jr. out there and some other drivers from the likes of NASCAR Canada and Mexico and so on.
Yeah, I feel really blessed because we usually don't have yeah, you just see them on TV. You never see them in person, since it's quite far apart from the Euro guys and everything in the US and everywhere. So it was really nice to race them on the track finally. And I hope I can soon get over to the States and maybe get some laps in real life there.
Well, now you can say you've driven the Xfinity car on the service, so I think the next step is get you in one of these in the real world as well. We appreciate you chatting with us, Giorgio. Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That is Giorgio Maggio, comes from 12th in this Brands Hatch side of the program. And we'll bring Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Parker Kligerman into the booth at once. And gentlemen, appreciate you guys sticking around and chatting with us. We'll go to you, Parker, first, because Dale got roped into being in the booth with us for the entirety of that Coliseum feature. But how'd the night go for you, taking these things on a couple different disciplines that I'm sure you've tried before on the surface anyways?
I have, but I definitely lacked some practice tonight. I figured that one out pretty quickly. Saw myself outside the top 10 pretty regularly. Struggled to be top 15, but started to get it together, and it was over. So that was a lot of fun, though. Cool to race with all these different drivers from all over. I think it's kind of fun when you experience like a whole new set of drivers because you just don't know how they're going to race. But everyone tonight, even when I got in a couple, contact situations, everyone sort of kept it clean and then let everyone gather it up and get back going. So that was fun. The Coliseum was what I expected, but then Brands Hatch, that place is awesome, and the racing was fun. You keep the rear tires on it, and you could move forward. And I actually I don't even know why, but I was wanting the race to be a little longer. I think I could have got to maybe the top 8, but we burnt off the left rear, and I crashed it across the line, so it was done.
It's part of it. I think we saw some of those elements of chaos in the second one, Dale, but certainly not what we saw in the Coliseum. So able to participate in both the sprint and the feature. How'd you feel things go for you at Brands Hatch?
Well, probably a tough combination for me personally, but it's a fun track, and the Xfinity car is a tough race car to try to get around any racetrack, and I found it pretty challenging, but a lot of fun. Found some pace there to be able to race a few guys and kind of compete a little bit with some of the guys in the back half of the field. But just trying to get to the finish, man, it's hard. Something reaches out and gets you every time. Coming out of turn 1 there, just jumped a curb or something, got loose and wrecked out. But a lot of fun. Would definitely do it again if I got invited back. I would want to be involved in choosing the combinations, though. I would definitely pick something else. That was a tough couple of combinations.
Well, yeah, I mean, for a lot of these drivers, they're not used to these Xfinity Series cars. Of course, you guys have both driven on road courses. This Brands Hatch circuit, a lot of them, we were talking about how it's such a tricky car for them because of how heavy it is, the horsepower. Does this track, and I'll pose this one to both of you guys, does this compare to anything that we've seen the Xfinity car on back in the States, or is it that unique, or does it have some characteristics of what we've seen before? Just put you on the spot.
I don't know, Dale. I mean, road course wise, no, there's nothing that I've found myself not able to put the throttle down, full throttle down the straightaway, or what's supposed to be the front stretch. So you were spinning the tires the whole way down, especially 3 or 4 laps in. I should say though, I did beat you, Dale, and I beat Carson, host of our. So I felt very accomplished in those two people I beat. I think you're one of the few people I beat, but I'm very accomplished with that one.
Yeah, everybody beat me in both races. I think. I said it earlier. I think Brands Hatch is the Indy course, the short course, is a perfect layout for an international race. If NASCAR were to take one of the top 3 series overseas, I think that this track would be on the top of my list. That configuration would be on the top of my list. Me and Parker were talking earlier how me and him both used to run Toka touring car. It was a sim. They had a Toka touring car 1 and 2 20 years ago, and Brands Hatch Indy was a fun racetrack. I've been playing simulation and racing games forever, and was introduced to that track 2.5 decades ago. So always been a favorite of mine, and I'd love to see NASCAR get there. Yeah, I know the Euro Series runs there, but I'd like to see our Xfinity or Cup guys get there someday.
It was fun to see drivers from the likes of Mexico, Brazil, Canada, of course, the Euro Series, and you guys and some of your co-workers on the racetrack here in the States get on track here tonight. And listen, it wouldn't be the end of 2023 without a little bit of plugging. You guys both have teams in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, which is going to be back before we know it. So it's different than this with the real-life pros on track. We'll see the Sim Pros back at it sometime in February. What are you guys looking forward to most for the 2024 eNASCAR calendar?
I would say I'll let Parker. He's probably got his stuff figured out better than I do. I had a driver retire. Michael Connie retired on top, well, almost on top, and Kevin King, one of my buddies, didn't make it into the league this year. So I've got to go looking for drivers, and we're working on that. I was in a meeting the other day at Junior Motorsports talking about that, and so we're trying to figure out who we're going to have drive for us. And I know Parker's probably got a better plan than we do at this moment, but it's fun to compete. Me and him talk about it quite a bit on the race weekends when we're working for NBC together and so forth.
Yeah, I think our goal, you have a great record there, Dale, of picking drivers. I think we're right there with you. The longest tenured driver, Colin Bowden, the Mullet Man, I know he made it back in the series, so we're hoping to have him back. And we'll see who else is out there that we can go get. I think this year we've got to win. I believe we finished dead last in the standings. So it was our worst performance, but we had a lot of fun doing it. So hopefully we can be a little bit better than that and not have anyone fall the series or retire like Dale's had. So if we can keep some good guys there, keep the bullets on them, having a good time, and go win a race. We need to go do that.
Well, I know that Colin Bowden was taking credit or getting away from your result if it was bad. So I guess you guys were working together.
Yeah, I did text him for some tips. I don't know how helpful he was. I think he said to basically crack a beer and have at it, and it wasn't great advice. So I don't know. I think actually it is his fault that I was not faster. I'm going to blame him for sure.
So we'll see if that affects the 2024 eNASCAR rosters. We'll let you guys get out of here, but Parker, Dale, appreciate you guys being a part of this and spending some time to chat with us. We'll talk soon.
Hey, buddy. Thank you.
See y'all.
There's some of your top finishers from tonight's action. A big thanks to Dale again, who kind of did some double duty tonight in the booth with us at LA and, of course, on track at Brands Hatch, and to Parker Kligerman, both of those drivers, team owners in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, which you can see more of headed off into 2024. But, Tim, we take a look at your full race results from this one. Again, Jeff Giassi, the big storyline there, was able to make that charge back from P8 courtesy of the invert. Really was the man of the night here in the second half, and a walk-off performance to get himself into those top three payout spots with the win. Alfredo takes the overall championship, though, with a P2.
Yeah, you look down, D'Alba had a great run as well. Third place at the Brands Hatch, and you got fourth at the Coliseum earlier tonight. Rajah Cruz, Victor Morales, Vargas, DeSol, Gens, after going off in the sprint race, coming back from the back of the field to 8th. Great effort there. Linster and Jufro, after running in the top 3, finishes in 10th.
Yeah, probably could have been more for Jufro. He started 24th, climbed all the way up, had an incident, settles for that 10th spot. Parker Kligerman, I would have thought that P11 was enough to give Colin Bowden some credit, but he wanted more. So no love for Big Dog for giving him some tips as Parker ends up at 11th spot. Giorgio Maggi had some good speed all night long. We appreciate him for chatting with us here post-race as he comes home in 12th. Arthur Gamma, Ruben Garcia, Beto Montero come home through the top 15. And then those top 19 cars finished on the lead lap. That'll include Julio Campos, Daryl Timmers, Eric Schotten, and Jal Bortoluzzi. That leaves Regina Servant, first car, one lap down in 20th.
Ozio, Hocevar, Earnhardt, D'Alba Jr., and Larry Jackson. Larry had a tough sled tonight, finishing at the back of both of those races. Comes home 25th when it comes to the race at Brands Hatch.
Well, that's a look top to bottom at your full race results. And as we wrap up the calendar year for the world of eNASCAR, we look forward to 2024 when the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series is back in action. And it feels like Daytona is just weeks away, Tim. Year number 15 of iRacing's NASCAR World Championship. The likes of, as we mentioned, Dale Jr., Parker Kligerman, team owners in that. But unlike what you saw tonight with the real world pros taking on the sim, these are the very best sim drivers on the planet going head to head for more than $300,000.
Absolutely. They put on a show every single round, from the first round of Daytona all the way down through the rest of the season. The playoffs are always exciting. Final race always puts on a show. So be sure to come back in the new year when the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series returns to the racetrack one more time.
We hope you join us for that. And, of course, if you want to stay up to date with all things going on in the world of eNASCAR, you can go to eNASCAR.com or iRacing.com/eNASCAR to know what's next. But until then, that does it for us here tonight. It's been an incredible year of iRacing in the world of eNASCAR. And, of course, appreciate all of you joining us here tonight from the LA Coliseum and from Brands Hatch. I want to thank all of you for joining us. A big thanks from our entire team at iRacing eNASCAR. And for your broadcast team tonight. For Dale Jr., why not? For Tim Terry, myself, Evan Pasoko, want to thank all of you for tuning in. Congratulations go to race winners Anthony Alfredo and Jeff Giassi. But in the end, your champ is Anthony Alfredo. He walks away on top of the inaugural eNASCAR International iRacing invite. Until next year, good night from Brands Hatch. We'll see you next time with eNASCAR on iRacing.